Charles Whitaker III, heir to a real estate empire, thought he could shock his conservative family by bringing home Amara Okoye, a brilliant black biochemist he'd fallen for in Boston. He expected disapproval, maybe a tense dinner, but nothing prepared him for his mother's reaction. When Evelyn Whitaker's eyes locked onto the delicate silver necklace Amara wore, a simple pendant with intricate, not design, she froze, her face drained of color. That necklace wasn't just jewelry. It was a key to a secret Evelyn had buried decades ago, one that threatened to unravel the Whitaker family's carefully curated legacy. Charles Whitaker III, known to his friends as Charlie, was 32, charming and restless. Born to wealth, he'd grown up in a sprawling estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, where his family's name opened every door. His father, Charles Whitaker Jr., had built Whitaker Properties into a juggernaut, owning luxury buildings across the Northeast. His mother, Evelyn, was a perfect society matron, polished, poised, and fiercely protective of the family's reputation. Charlie, though, had always chafed under their expectations. After graduating from Harvard, he'd moved to Boston, distancing himself from Greenwich's suffocating elite circles. There, at a biotech conference, he met Amara Okoye. Amara, 29, was everything Charlie wasn't used to. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, she'd immigrated to the U.S. at 16, earned a Ph.D. in biochemistry, and now worked at a cutting-edge lab developing cancer therapies. She was sharp, self-assured, and unimpressed by Charlie's last name. Their relationship started as a debate over protein folding, turned into coffee dates, and became something deeper. Charlie admired her drive, her refusal to shrink herself for anyone. 6 months into dating, he invited her to Greenwich for a weekend to meet his parents. He knew it wouldn't be easy. His family's social circle was overwhelmingly white and old money, but he didn't expect the earthquake that followed. Evelyn Whitaker had planned the weekend meticulously. The Whitakers' estate, a Georgian mansion with manicured gardens, was prepped for guests. Evelyn, 58, was used to hosting, but this was different. Charlie had warned her about Amara's background, framing it casually. She's Nigerian, a scientist, brilliant. Evelyn's response was a tight smile and a promise to make her feel welcome. But privately, she was uneasy. The Whitakers' world was one of tradition, and Amara didn't fit the mold of the debutantes Charlie usually dated. Still, Evelyn prided herself on grace under pressure. She'd handle it. Amara arrived on a Friday evening in June 2023. Charlie drove her from Boston in his Tesla, the two laughing and debating music the whole way. Amara wore a tailored navy dress, her hair in neat braids, and the silver necklace she always wore, a gift from her late grandmother. Charlie, in a blazer and jeans, was nervous but excited. He wanted his parents to see what he saw in Amara, her intellect, her warmth, her strength. He wasn't naive. He knew race might be an issue, but he thought the worst would be awkward small talk or veiled snobbery. Dinner was served in the dining room, under a chandelier that cost more than most people's cars. Charles Jr., a gruff man in his 60s, asked Amara about her work. She explained her research with clarity, fielding his questions with ease. Charlie beamed, proud of how she held her own. Evelyn, though, was quieter than usual. She watched Amara closely, her eyes lingering on the necklace. It was a simple piece, a silver knot pendant on a thin chain, but something about it unsettled her. She excused herself briefly, claiming a headache, and returned with a strained smile. The conversation turned to family. Amara shared stories of her childhood in Lagos, her grandmother's wisdom, and her move to U.S. Evelyn nodded politely, but her questions grew pointed. "Your necklace," she said suddenly, her voice tight. "Where did you get it?" Amara touched the pendant, surprised. "It was my grandmother's. She gave it to me before she passed. It's been in our family for years." Evelyn's fork paused midair. "Your grandmother," she repeated. "What was her name?" "Adana Okoye," Amara said. "She lived in Lagos her whole life." Evelyn's face paled, but she recovered quickly, changing the subject. Charlie noticed a shift, but didn't press. He assumed his mother was just being her usual controlling self, uncomfortable with anything unfamiliar. Amara, sensing the tension, stayed composed, but she felt Evelyn's scrutiny like a weight. That night, after Amara went to bed, Evelyn called Charlie to her study. Charles Jr. was there, looking weary. "Charlie," Evelyn said, her voice low, "that necklace, I've seen it before." Charlie frowned. "It's just a necklace, Mom. What's the big deal?" "It's not just a necklace," Evelyn snapped. "It's tied to something I never wanted to revisit." She hesitated, then told a story Charlie had never heard. In the 1980s, Evelyn had been a young volunteer with a nonprofit in Nigeria, working on education initiatives. She'd spent a year in Lagos, living among locals, including a woman named Adana, a teacher with a passion for community work. They'd become close, sharing meals, stories, and dreams. Adana had worn a necklace just like Amara's, a silver knot, a family heirloom. But Evelyn's time in Nigeria wasn't just a feel-good volunteer stint. She'd been involved in a scandal, one she'd buried deep. Evelyn admitted, haltingly, that she had an affair with a Nigerian colleague, a man named Chidi. It was brief, intense, and ended when she returned to the U.S. to marry Charles Jr., but Chidi had given her a necklace identical to Adana's as a parting gift. Evelyn had kept it hidden, unable to part with it, but terrified of its implications. Seeing Amara's necklace brought all back. Adana had been Chidi's sister. Evelyn feared Amara might be connected to Chidi, maybe even his daughter, which would mean she brought a piece of her past into her home. Charlie was stunned. His mother, the pillar of propriety, had a secret life? He demanded to know more, but Evelyn clammed up, saying only that she needed time to think. Charles Jr., silent until now, urged Charlie to drop it. "Your mother's upset. Let it go." But Charlie couldn't. The next morning, he confronted Amara, asking about her family. Amara was confused, but open. She confirmed her father's name was Chidi Okoye, a professor who died when she was young. Her mother had raised her alone after Chidi's death. Amara had no idea about her father's past beyond his work and his love for her mother. Charlie, reeling, shared what Evelyn had told him. Amara's eyes widened. "Your mother knew my father?" The revelation hung between them. Amara insisted on speaking to Evelyn. Over coffee, the two women faced each other. Evelyn, usually so composed, was visibly shaken. Amara, calm but direct, asked the truth. Evelyn admitted the affair, her voice barely above a whisper. She'd loved Chidi but chose her family's expectations over him. She'd never known he had a daughter, but seeing the necklace, a twin to the one Chidi gave her, made her fear Amara was his child, a living reminder of her choices. Amara processed this silently. She wasn't angry, but she was hurt. Her father had never mentioned Evelyn, and now she understood why the necklace meant so much to her grandmother, Adana, who'd known about Chidi's heartbreak. Amara decided to call her mother in Lagos for answers. Her mother confirmed Chidi's affair with a white volunteer, but said it ended before Amara was born. Amara was Chidi's daughter with her mother, not Evelyn, but the necklace tied their stories together in a way none of them expected. Charlie, caught in the middle, struggled with his mother's past and his love for Amara. He confronted Evelyn again, asking why she'd hidden this for decades. Evelyn admitted she'd been ashamed, not of Chidi, but of her cowardice in leaving him. She'd built her life on suppressing that chapter, and Amara's arrival threatened to expose it. Charles Jr., pragmatic as ever, told Charlie to focus on the present. Amara's not your mother's past. She's your future, if you want her to be. The weekend ended with no easy resolutions. Amara returned to Boston, needing space to process. Charlie stayed in Greenwich, wrestling with his family's legacy. Evelyn, for the first time, began to question the walls she'd built around her heart. She reached out to Amara weeks later, sending a letter of apology, not just for her coldness, but for the pain her silence might have caused Chidi's family. Amara responded graciously, but kept her distance. Charlie and Amara's relationship survived, but it was tested. They talked openly about the necklace, the affair, and what it meant for them. Amara decided to keep wearing the pendant, not as a symbol of her father's pain, but as a reminder of her own strength. Charlie, meanwhile, began to see his family's wealth and status for what it was, a gilded cage. He started advocating for diversity in Whitaker Properties, pushing against his father's resistance. Evelyn, changed by the encounter, quietly began funding scholarships for Nigerian students. A small act of atonement, the necklace, once a source of dread, became a bridge between past and present, forcing the Whitakers to confront truths they'd long avoided. For Mara, it was a reminder that her roots ran deeper than anyone's story. And for Charlie, it was a call to build a life that honored love